Have you ever felt a special calling deep inside you, a mission you're meant to fulfill? A voice that whispers in your heart, urging you to take a step forward, to move in a direction that feels different from the rest of the world. Maybe it's the subtle nudge that guides you in moments of doubt, or perhaps it's a feeling that has been with you for as long as you can remember. Have you ever wondered if God is preparing you for something greater than you can even imagine? Today we will explore something incredibly powerful. We'll talk about the signs that God might be preparing you, the chosen one, for something extraordinary. The signs are not always loud or obvious, but they are there, in the quiet moments, in the tests you face, in the challenges that seem designed just for you. These signs are not coincidences, they are divine indicators meant to guide you toward understanding your higher purpose. God's plan for you is unique. You are not here by accident. You were born with a purpose, a calling that only you can fulfill. But how do you know if you are truly being prepared for something greater? How can you identify when God is working behind the scenes, shaping you, testing you, and leading you toward your destiny? This video will help you recognize those signs, those divine moments that serve as the map to your true calling. Whether it's a sense of unease, a persistent feeling of divine purpose, or even the challenges that arise in your life, all of it is connected to God's preparation of you for something far greater. If you feel a divine calling stirring inside of you, then this message is for you. The signs you'll learn about today are ones you must pay attention to. They are not merely coincidences or random occurrences. They are intentional. They are meant to guide you to the realization that God has chosen you for something special. They will help you recognize and prepare for what God has in store for you, something beyond your understanding, but exactly what you need to fulfill His purpose. So if you find yourself nodding along or feeling a deep connection to these words, take a moment to reflect on the signs you've experienced in your life. And as we go through each sign, think about your own journey. Are you being prepared? Are you the chosen one? Remember, these signs are not meant to overwhelm you, but to empower you, to show you that you are not alone on this path. God is guiding you every step of the way. If this message resonates with you and you feel inspired, don't forget to like this video, share it with others who may need to hear these words, and subscribe to our channel. By doing so, you will receive more inspirational messages from God that will encourage you on your journey and help you continue to recognize the divine purpose in your life. One of the first signs that God may be preparing you for something greater is a deep, almost unexplainable sense of awakening, or a profound inner knowing. It is as though something inside you stirs awake, calling you to step into a new level of awareness. This awakening feeling is not like anything you've experienced before. It's not a simple realization or a fleeting thought. It's something that touches your very soul, urging you to pay attention, to open your eyes to something greater. For many, this feeling is hard to define. It might feel like an inner voice whispering to you in moments of stillness, or it could be a persistent thought that nags at you, no matter how hard you try to ignore it. This sense of awakening may be triggered by an event, a conversation, or even just a quiet moment of introspection. Suddenly you see your life, your purpose, and your surroundings in a completely new light. It's as if the veil that once obscured your vision has been lifted, and now you can see clearly. Your true purpose, the reason why you're here, begins to come into focus. This awakening is not just an intellectual understanding, but a heart-level awareness. It's a deep knowing that goes beyond what you can explain with words. It's a knowing that stirs within you, connecting you to something larger than yourself, something divine. In this moment, you realize that you are not just going through the motions of life. You are being called to something greater. This calling is not always immediate or easy to understand, but it's there, quietly growing, until one day you can no longer ignore it. Imagine waking up one day to the realization that your life is meant for something greater than you ever thought possible. It's as though your eyes are suddenly open to the possibilities before you, and you begin to see the threads of your life weaving together in a way that makes sense. The things you once considered unimportant, the small details, now seem significant. You may even feel as if you've been given new eyes to see the world, eyes that no longer just see the surface, but perceive the deeper meaning of life, your mission, and your calling. One of the most powerful aspects of this awakening is that it shifts the way you view yourself and your purpose in life. Before this moment, You might have felt lost or uncertain about your direction. You may have asked yourself, what am I supposed to do? What is my purpose? But suddenly, it feels as though all those unanswered questions are answered in a flash. It's not that the answers come all at once or in a clear-cut form, but they begin to form a direction, a path forward that feels aligned with your true self, the person you were always meant to be. For example, let's consider the story of Sarah, a woman who had spent much of her life working in corporate jobs that never fulfilled her. She was successful by many standards, but there was always something missing. Every time she achieved a new goal, it felt as though something deeper was still calling to her, urging her to do more. She had moments of doubt, wondering if her work really mattered, or if there was something else she should be doing with her life. One day, after a particularly challenging experience at work, Sarah took some time off and went on a retreat to reflect. It was during this retreat, in a quiet moment of solitude, that she experienced what she later described as an awakening. In that moment, she felt an overwhelming sense of peace and clarity. It wasn't just a feeling of relaxation, it was a deep knowing, a connection to something greater than herself. It was as though God was showing her that her purpose was not to stay in the corporate world, chasing promotions and accolades, but to help others find their own sense of purpose and fulfillment. This awakening sparked a shift in Sarah's life. She left her corporate job and became a life coach, dedicating her life to helping others discover their unique calling. Sarah's story illustrates how this awakening feeling can take many forms. For some, it's an immediate realization that leads to a dramatic change in direction. For others, it might be a slow, gradual awareness that grows over time, leading them to new opportunities and a deeper understanding of their life's purpose. Either way, this sense of awakening is a powerful sign that God is preparing you for something extraordinary. This feeling of awakening can also be accompanied by a sense of urgency, a feeling that time is precious and that there is something important that you need to do. It's not just about realizing your purpose, it's about understanding that your purpose matters. It's about knowing that you were born for a reason, and the time to step into that purpose is now. You may feel as though you can't waste another moment living without fulfilling the calling God has placed on your heart. You begin to understand that every moment counts, that your life is not just about surviving, but about making a difference, fulfilling the destiny that has been set before you. Take, for instance, the story of James, a man who had been in a dead-end job for years. He had always felt there was something more, but he never quite knew what it was. One day, after experiencing a personal loss, James found himself sitting in church, completely overwhelmed by a sense of urgency. It was in that moment that he felt God calling him to a different life, a life of service. He realized that he was meant to help others, to be a light in their darkness. This awakening was not a one-time event, but a constant feeling that grew stronger each day, pulling him toward a new mission. Eventually, James left his job and started a non-profit organization to support those in need. Both Sarah and James had distinct awakening experiences, but the underlying theme is the same. The awakening feeling is not just an emotional moment, it is a divine shift that brings clarity, purpose, and direction. It changes everything, from the way you view yourself to the way you view your role in the world. It is a call to something greater than yourself, a realization that you are part of God's larger plan, and that your life has a purpose beyond what you could ever imagine. The awakening feeling is a powerful sign that God is preparing you for something extraordinary. It is a moment when the veil is lifted, and you begin to see the world through new eyes. You start to understand that your life has meaning, that your purpose is unfolding, and that God has been preparing you all along. Whether it happens suddenly or gradually, this awakening is one of the clearest signs that you are being called to something greater. As you reflect on this feeling of awakening in your own life, ask yourself, do you feel a stirring deep inside? A call to something greater, something beyond your current reality? Are you ready to step into the life that God has prepared for you? If so, embrace that feeling. It is the first step toward fulfilling your divine purpose. God is preparing you for something extraordinary. Trust in the process and be ready to walk in the path that He has set before you. As we move forward in this journey of discovering how God is preparing us for something greater, the next sign that often becomes evident is the overwhelming challenges we face. After experiencing the profound sense of awakening, where you feel that God is calling you to a higher purpose, it's common to find that challenges, sometimes huge and unexpected, begin to present themselves in your life. At first glance, these challenges may seem like obstacles meant to hinder your progress, but in reality they are designed by God to refine you, test your character, and strengthen your resolve. The challenges you face are not random or arbitrary. They are, in fact, tools that God uses to prepare you for the mission ahead. Though they may be difficult, uncomfortable, or even painful at times, these trials are meant to shape you into the person you are meant to become. God allows them because He sees in you something greater, and He knows that the path to fulfilling your divine purpose requires you to be strong, resilient, and grounded. The lessons learned in times of hardship are invaluable, and each challenge is a stepping stone toward your greater destiny. You may be wondering how challenges could possibly serve as anything other than burdens. After all, when life throws hardships our way, it's easy to feel defeated or discouraged. But if we take a step back and reflect on the bigger picture, we can begin to see that these struggles are not meant to break us. They are meant to build us. Just as gold is refined in the fire, so too are we purified through trials. The fire might be intense, but it burns away the impurities in us, leaving behind a stronger, more focused individual who is better equipped to fulfill God's calling. When we look at the lives of many who have walked in the footsteps of the chosen ones, we find that they too faced extraordinary trials. Take, for example, the story of Moses, who was called by God to lead the Israelites out of Egypt. The challenges he faced were nothing short of overwhelming. From leading a group of people who often doubted him, to facing the powerful forces of Pharaoh, Moses endured some of the most trying circumstances in history. Yet each of those challenges helped him grow. His faith was tested, his leadership skills were refined, and his reliance on God deepened. Moses learned to trust in God's plan, even when the path ahead seemed impossible. Similarly, consider the story of Joseph in the Bible. Joseph was betrayed by his brothers, sold into slavery, and thrown into prison under false accusations. His journey was filled with extreme adversity, but through it all, he never lost his faith in God. In fact, it was through these struggles that Joseph was prepared to fulfill his greater purpose, to save his family and a nation from famine. His challenges, though painful and unfair, shaped him into the wise and powerful leader he became. Joseph's story is a powerful reminder that the challenges we face, though painful in the moment, often serve as the preparation for the blessing that awaits us. You may be thinking, but my challenges feel too great to overcome. How could anything good come from what I am facing? It's understandable to feel that way, especially when the weight of your struggles feels unbearable. But remember this: God does not give us more than we can handle. Every trial you face is an opportunity for growth. Even when you feel like you are drowning in the storm, know that God is right there with you, guiding you through it. It is in the darkest times that God's light shines the brightest. Think about your own life. What challenges have you faced that, in hindsight, have helped shape you into the person you are today? Maybe it was a difficult relationship, a financial setback, or a health crisis. At the time, these challenges may have seemed like insurmountable obstacles. But as you look back, can you see how those experiences prepared you for something greater? Perhaps they taught you patience, resilience, or the importance of faith. They may have forced you to rely on God in ways you never expected, deepening your relationship with Him and strengthening your trust in His plan. One example of someone who faced great challenges and grew through them is Rachel, a woman who had to navigate the loss of her job in the middle of an economic downturn. At first, Rachel felt devastated. She had worked hard for her career and felt a deep sense of security in her job. But when the company she worked for closed its doors, she was left without a job and facing a future filled with uncertainty. It was a challenge she never expected, and at first, it felt like a personal defeat. But as the months passed, Rachel began to see how God was using this setback to prepare her for something new. She spent time in prayer, reflecting on her life and asking God for guidance. During this period, she developed new skills, built a network of connections, and discovered a passion for helping others who were also struggling with unemployment. Eventually, Rachel started a non-profit organization that helped others find work and support during tough times. What started as a devastating challenge became the foundation for a new purpose in her life. This story exemplifies how God uses challenges to refine us and prepare us for something greater. Rachel could have stayed focused on her disappointment and allowed it to define her. Instead, she chose to see it as an opportunity for growth. She trusted that God had a plan for her, even in the midst of uncertainty, and through her challenges, she found a new mission that was aligned with her purpose. Another example is the story of Mark, a man who faced a serious health crisis. After being diagnosed with a chronic illness, Mark found himself in and out of hospitals, enduring long treatments and struggling to maintain hope. During this challenging time, Mark felt discouraged and questioned why God would allow such a hardship to come into his life. However, over time, he began to realize that this health challenge was an opportunity for him to grow in faith and empathy. Mark used his experience to reach out to others who were facing similar battles, offering them encouragement and support. He learned to rely on God in ways he never had before, and as a result, he found peace in his heart even amidst the pain. Today, Mark leads support groups for people with chronic illnesses and shares his testimony to inspire others who are going through similar challenges. His illness, though difficult, led him to a higher calling and a deeper understanding of God's purpose for his life. These stories show us that challenges are not obstacles meant to keep us from our purpose. They are part of the divine preparation. The difficulties you face today might feel overwhelming, but they are refining you, shaping you into the person you are meant to be. They are part of God's greater plan for your life. You may not always understand why you are going through a particular trial, but trust that God has a purpose for it. He is using these challenges to strengthen you, to prepare you for the mission He has placed before you. As you reflect on your own challenges, remember this: God is not distant in your struggles. He is with you every step of the way, working through the trials to mold you into the person you need to become. Every challenge you face is an opportunity to grow in faith, to trust in God's plan, and to prepare for the greater purpose He has for you. Embrace the challenges you face today, knowing that they are shaping you for something far greater tomorrow. As we continue exploring the signs that God is preparing you for something extraordinary, we now come to one of the most profound and awe-inspiring aspects of this journey: divine encounters. After facing overwhelming challenges, when we begin to seek deeper meaning in our lives, God often orchestrates encounters that feel inexplicably significant. These are the moments when the people we meet or the events we experience seem to be too perfectly timed, too significant to be anything other than divine intervention. They are not just coincidences. They are God's way of guiding us toward our purpose, providing us with wisdom, and confirming that we are on the right path. When we experience a divine encounter, it can feel as though time itself has shifted, that something higher is at work, guiding our steps in ways that we cannot fully understand. These moments often come unexpectedly, disrupting the ordinary course of our day-to-day lives. They might be in the form of a chance meeting with someone who has a powerful impact on our lives, or an event that feels like it was specifically placed on our path. These encounters leave us with a deep sense of awe, a reminder that God is not only watching over us, but also actively guiding us toward our destiny. What makes divine encounters so unique is that they often transcend our understanding of what is possible. We might encounter someone who shares a message that resonates deeply with our soul, someone who speaks words of encouragement just when we need them the most. Or we might experience an event that seems to be a random occurrence, but upon reflection, we realize that it could not have happened by chance. The timing, the circumstances, the emotions, they all align perfectly in a way that only a divine hand could orchestrate. One of the most memorable examples of a divine encounter comes from the story of a woman named Grace. Grace had been feeling lost in her life, uncertain of her purpose and struggling to find her way after a period of intense personal hardship. She had recently gone through a divorce, and the weight of her emotions was starting to take its toll. One day, as she sat in a park, overwhelmed by feelings of loneliness and sadness, a stranger sat down next to her. The woman, who appeared to be in her mid-60s, struck up a conversation with Grace. The conversation was light at first, but then the woman began to share her own story, how she too had gone through a divorce, and how she had struggled to find her way afterward. What was remarkable about this encounter was not just the woman's story, but the words of wisdom she shared. She spoke about how she had turned to God during her darkest moments, and how He had guided her toward healing and peace. As the conversation continued, Grace felt a profound sense of peace and clarity wash over her. The woman's words seemed to speak directly to her heart, as though God Himself had sent this woman to speak to her. By the time the conversation ended, Grace felt a renewed sense of hope, as if a heavy burden had been lifted. She walked away from that park bench, not only with a deeper sense of peace, but also with the understanding that God had sent that woman to remind her that she was not alone and that there was a greater purpose waiting for her. This encounter, though seemingly random, was anything but. It was a divine moment, a reminder from God that He was present in Grace's life, guiding her toward healing and wholeness. Divine encounters like this often come when we least expect them, but have the greatest impact on us. They remind us that God is always at work, orchestrating the details of our lives in ways that we cannot always see or understand. Another example of a divine encounter comes from the story of a man named Elijah. Elijah was struggling with a decision that weighed heavily on his heart, whether to stay in his current job or pursue a new career that he had always dreamed of. He had been praying for guidance, asking God to show him the way, but he felt uncertain. One day, as he walked to work, he passed a homeless man sitting on the sidewalk. The man looked up at Elijah and without any prompting said, "God is calling you to step out in faith. Don't be afraid to take that leap." Elijah was taken aback. How did this man know what he had been struggling with? It seemed like an odd thing for a stranger to say, but in that moment, Elijah knew that it was not just a random encounter. He felt a deep sense of peace and confirmation that this was a message from God. This divine encounter not only gave Elijah the courage to take the leap of faith he had been hesitating to take, but also reinforced his belief that God was actively involved in his life. It reminded him that God speaks to us in many ways, sometimes through the words of a stranger, other times through the quiet whispers in our hearts. These encounters can be small moments that seem insignificant, but in reality, they are pivotal moments that can change the course of our lives. In both Grace's and Elijah's stories, we see how divine encounters have the power to shift our perspectives and align us with God's will. These moments act as divine confirmations, reminding us that God is not distant or detached, but is actively working in our lives, leading us toward our destiny. They are signs that God is preparing us for something greater, that He is guiding us step by step, even when we can't see the full picture. We have all likely had moments in our lives where we encountered someone who seemed to speak directly to our situation, or perhaps we were in a place of uncertainty, and a seemingly random event gave us the clarity we needed. These moments are more than just coincidences. They are divine encounters, orchestrated by God to guide us and confirm His plan for our lives. There are countless other examples of divine encounters that we can look to for inspiration. Consider the story of Paul in the New Testament. Paul's encounter with God on the road to Damascus was one of the most profound and life-changing divine encounters in history. Paul was a man who persecuted Christians, but when God intervened in his life, everything changed. In an instant, he went from being an enemy of the faith to one of its greatest advocates. This encounter was not just a meeting with a stranger, it was a direct intervention by God, changing the course of Paul's life and setting him on a path of purpose. These divine moments are not limited to biblical times. They continue to happen today, and they serve as reminders that God is still very much involved in our lives. Whether it's a conversation with a stranger, an event that seems too perfectly timed to be coincidental, or a sudden realization that brings clarity to our confusion, these encounters are signs that God is preparing us for something greater. As you reflect on your own life, think about the divine encounters you've experienced. Have there been moments when something or someone crossed your path at just the right time? Perhaps you've met someone who shared exactly what you needed to hear, or an event occurred that led you to a new understanding of your purpose. These are not random encounters. They are divine encounters, part of God's greater plan to prepare you for what lies ahead. God works in mysterious ways, and sometimes those mysteries reveal themselves in the form of an encounter, an event, or a moment that changes everything. As you continue on your journey, remain open to these divine encounters. They are signs that God is with you, guiding you, and preparing you for the greater purpose He has for your life. Trust in His plan, and be ready to embrace the divine encounters that come your way. As we continue to uncover the signs that God is preparing you for something extraordinary, we come to one of the most intimate and powerful ways God communicates with us: the calling voice. After experiencing divine encounters and feeling the weight of challenges in your life, it's not uncommon to find yourself in a moment of quiet reflection, seeking guidance. These moments of stillness, when the noise of the world fades away, are often when God's voice becomes the most clear and profound. This is when God calls you directly, inviting you to listen to His guidance and embrace the path He has set before you. The calling voice is not always a loud, thunderous sound or an earth-shattering revelation. In fact, it's often the quiet, still voice within that gently calls you toward your purpose. It may come during times of prayer or moments when you're reflecting on your life. God's voice is not always dramatic, but it is unmistakable in its clarity and power. It's a voice that speaks to the deepest part of your soul, one that resonates within you in a way that feels undeniable. It brings a sense of peace, a sense of purpose, and a knowing that you are being guided in the right direction. Often this calling voice arrives when you are seeking clarity, asking God for answers or for direction in your life. You may be at a crossroads, unsure of what decision to make, or you may feel a sense of inner restlessness, wondering if you are truly fulfilling your calling. In these moments, God's voice can provide the clarity you need. It's as though the confusion melts away, and suddenly you know exactly what you need to do. But how do you recognize and discern this voice from all the other thoughts and distractions that fill your mind? How can you be sure that the voice you hear is truly God's voice and not your own thoughts, desires, or fears? This is a question many people wrestle with, especially when they begin to experience this sense of calling or guidance from God. The good news is that there are certain characteristics of God's voice that make it distinct and recognizable, even among the noise of life. The first thing to remember is that God's voice is always aligned with His Word. It will never contradict what is written in Scripture. If you feel called to do something, and it aligns with the principles of love, humility, and service as described in the Bible, you can be confident that it is God's voice speaking to you. God's voice will not lead you into actions that go against His teachings or lead you into sin. His guidance is always loving, wise, and full of peace. If the voice you hear encourages you to act in ways that honor God and love others, then you can trust that it is a call from Him. Another way to recognize God's voice is by the peace it brings. When you hear God's call, it will bring a deep sense of peace to your heart, even if the action you are called to take seems daunting or challenging. This peace is not the absence of fear or uncertainty, but a peace that surpasses understanding, one that comes from knowing that you are walking in God's will. This peace will settle your spirit and give you the courage to move forward, even when the path ahead seems unclear. God's voice is also a voice of clarity. When you hear Him calling, there is a sense of certainty that comes with it. You may not have all the details or know exactly how everything will unfold, but you will know in your heart that this is the right direction. The confusion that you once felt will begin to dissipate, and you will be filled with a sense of purpose and determination. You will feel compelled to take action, and the steps before you will become clear, even if they are small at first. Recognizing the calling voice often requires us to create space in our lives for quiet reflection and prayer. In our busy world, it's easy to become distracted by the noise around us, whether it's our daily responsibilities, the pressure of social media, or the endless stream of information. But when we take the time to be still and listen, we make room for God's voice to be heard. This may require intentional moments of solitude, away from the distractions of life. It may involve setting aside time each day for prayer and meditation, asking God to speak to your heart and guide you. There are also moments when God speaks through His Word, and the message becomes clear as you read the Bible. Sometimes as you open the Scriptures, a particular verse will stand out to you in a way that feels deeply personal. It's as if God is speaking directly to you through the passage, offering guidance and encouragement. In these moments, God's voice becomes unmistakable as His word resonates within you, confirming the direction you should take. One story that illustrates the power of God's calling voice comes from the life of Samuel the prophet. As a young boy, Samuel was serving in the temple under the guidance of the priest Eli. One night, while Samuel was lying down, he heard a voice calling his name. He assumed it was Eli calling him, so he went to Eli's room, but Eli told him he hadn't called. This happened several times, and each time Samuel ran to Eli, unsure of what was happening. Finally, Eli realized that it was God calling Samuel, and he instructed Samuel to respond by saying, "Speak, Lord, for your servant is listening." When Samuel did this, God revealed to him a message that would shape his life and ministry. This story is a powerful example of how God's voice can sometimes be hard to recognize at first. Samuel initially mistook God's voice for the voice of Eli, but when he learned to recognize God's call, he responded with openness and obedience. In the same way, God may call us in unexpected ways, and it may take time for us to fully discern His voice. But as we grow in our relationship with Him, we will become more attuned to His voice, and we will be better able to recognize when He is calling us to take action. Another example comes from the life of a man named David. Before he was anointed as king of Israel, David was a young shepherd boy, living in the fields and tending to his father's sheep. When the prophet Samuel came to anoint the next king, David was not the obvious choice. He was the youngest of his brothers and was overlooked by many. But God spoke to Samuel, telling him that David was the one He had chosen. David at this point had no idea that he was being prepared for such a great calling. He was simply doing his job, living his life. But God's voice called him out from the field and into the kingdom. David's obedience to God's call, even though he did not understand it fully at the time, led to him becoming one of Israel's greatest kings. In both of these stories, we see how God's calling comes with clarity, peace, and a sense of direction. It is not a call that leaves us confused or uncertain, but one that invites us to trust in God's timing and plan for our lives. When we recognize this calling voice, it is a reminder that God is actively guiding us, preparing us for the purpose He has set before us. As you reflect on your own life, think about the times when you have felt God's calling in your heart. Has there been a moment when you felt an undeniable sense of direction, a whisper in your soul urging you to take action? Have you ever had a time in prayer when the answers you sought became clear and you knew that God was speaking directly to you? These are the moments to cherish and remember, for they are signs that God is preparing you for something greater. Take time to listen for God's voice. Create space in your life for quiet reflection and prayer. Ask God to speak to you, to guide you, and to help you discern His will. As you grow in your relationship with Him, His voice will become clearer, and you will be better equipped to follow the path He has set before you. As we continue to explore the signs that God is preparing you for something extraordinary, we now turn to one of the most powerful and transformative signs, the inner peace that God provides in the midst of external chaos. After experiencing the calling voice of God, and as you begin to recognize the profound guidance He offers, one of the most remarkable changes that take place is a sense of deep, abiding peace. This peace does not depend on external circumstances. It does not come from the absence of trials or challenges. Instead, it is a peace that transcends understanding, a peace that remains steady in the face of uncertainty and turmoil. When God is preparing you for a greater purpose, He doesn't promise that life will be free from challenges or hardships. In fact, the journey of fulfilling your divine calling often involves trials that test your faith, strength, and resilience. But what God does promise is that in the midst of those trials, He will give you peace, a peace that comes from knowing that He is with you every step of the way. This peace is not a fleeting feeling that comes and goes with the wind. It is a constant presence that settles deep within your soul, offering reassurance, calmness, and the strength to face whatever comes your way. You may have noticed that there are times when everything around you feels chaotic, when the world seems to be falling apart, when relationships are strained, when your job is overwhelming, or when financial worries weigh heavily on your heart. In those moments, it is easy to feel like everything is out of control, and the pressure can be suffocating. But even in the midst of these challenges, God's peace can enter your heart and provide you with the clarity and strength you need to persevere. This peace is different from the fleeting calmness that comes from external circumstances. It's not the type of peace that relies on your surroundings being ideal. In fact, this peace often shines the brightest when everything around you is falling apart. When you experience this inner peace, it becomes clear that God is preparing you not only to face these challenges, but to rise above them. His peace is a reminder that He is in control, even when it seems like everything is spinning out of control. It is a divine assurance that no matter how difficult the situation may be, you are not alone, and you are being strengthened to endure. The Apostle Paul offers a beautiful description of this peace in Philippians 4:7, where he says, "And the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus." This peace is not of this world. It is a gift that comes directly from God, and it guards your heart and mind, shielding you from the anxiety and fear that can easily overwhelm you. It is a peace that goes beyond human understanding, something that cannot be manufactured or found through worldly means. It is a peace that settles in your soul and remains steadfast even when life's storms rage around you. This peace can help you find clarity in times of uncertainty. When everything feels unclear and you're unsure of the next steps, God's peace can provide the clarity you need. It is as though, in the midst of the chaos, a sense of calm washes over you, allowing you to see the bigger picture and understand God's will for your life more clearly. You may not always have all the answers, but in those moments of peace, you will know that God is guiding you. You will trust in His timing and plan, even when the road ahead is uncertain. Imagine for a moment being in the midst of a storm. Whether that storm is emotional, relational, financial, or professional. Everything around you is tumultuous. People are angry, deadlines are looming, and the pressures of life are overwhelming. But as you stand in the middle of this storm, you feel a deep, unexplainable peace within you. It's not because the situation has changed, but because your trust in God is unwavering. You know that He is with you, that He has a purpose for this season of your life, and that His plan will prevail. This inner peace gives you the strength to stay grounded, to make decisions that honor God, and to move forward with faith, even when the path ahead seems uncertain. One powerful example of this peace comes from the story of a woman named Lily, who was facing a crisis in her life. She had recently lost her job due to unforeseen circumstances, and on top of that, her marriage was going through a difficult time. She felt overwhelmed and uncertain about her future. But in the midst of this chaos, Lily began to experience a deep sense of peace that she couldn't explain. Instead of being consumed by anxiety or fear, she felt a calm assurance that God was with her and that He was working in her life. This peace didn't make her situation any easier, but it allowed her to face her challenges with a different perspective. She started praying more earnestly, seeking God's guidance for her next steps, and trusting that He had a plan for her life. Lily's story is a testament to the power of God's peace. Even in the midst of her personal turmoil, she found clarity and strength. This inner peace gave her the courage to make decisions with faith, to move forward in her career and her relationships, and to trust that God was leading her toward a brighter future. Over time, her situation began to improve, but it was the peace she experienced in the midst of her trials that became the foundation for her growth and healing. Another example comes from the life of a man named David, who was going through a difficult period in his career. After years of hard work, he was passed over for a promotion that he had hoped would advance his position. In the midst of his disappointment and frustration, David experienced an overwhelming sense of peace. It was as if God was whispering to his heart, reassuring him that this was not the end of his journey, but a part of the process. This peace allowed David to let go of his anger and frustration, and instead, he found the strength to continue moving forward with faith. He began to trust that God had something better in store for him, and that this setback was just a detour on the path to his greater purpose. David's story shows us that peace is not just about feeling calm in the absence of problems. It is about feeling God's presence, even when things are difficult. This peace can help us navigate life's challenges with a sense of calmness and clarity, knowing that God is always with us and that He is working all things together for our good. When you experience this inner peace, it becomes easier to find strength in the face of adversity. It doesn't mean that you will never feel fear, doubt, or worry, but it means that you have a source of strength to draw from that transcends those emotions. God's peace strengthens your resolve and helps you remain focused on the bigger picture. It empowers you to take each step with confidence, knowing that you are not alone in your struggles. In your own life, think about the times when you have experienced this inner peace in the midst of turmoil. Perhaps you were facing a health crisis, a financial setback, or a relational conflict. In those moments, did you experience a peace that seemed to guard your heart and mind? A peace that gave you the strength to keep going? This peace is one of the After experiencing the peace that transcends understanding, the sense that you are being led and guided through challenges, and the divine encounters that have shaped your journey, the next natural step is that God begins to reveal His divine purpose for your life. When God is preparing you, you will begin to notice a shift in your perspective, a deeper understanding of why you are here and what you are meant to do. You may start to see things in a completely new light. What once seemed like random events or moments in your life now feel like part of a larger divine plan. The decisions you make, the people you meet, and the path you walk begin to feel purposeful, as though everything is leading you toward a specific mission that only you can fulfill. This sense of purpose is not simply about finding a career or a title. It goes deeper than that. It's about understanding that this purpose is not just a job or a goal, but a calling that resonates with your soul and aligns with the greater good. When you discover this purpose, it changes the way you view everything around you. The world no longer seems random, and your life no longer feels like a series of disconnected events. Instead, you begin to see the intricate design of God's hand, guiding you through every moment, preparing you for something greater. The revelation of your purpose is often accompanied by a deep sense of fulfillment. You begin to feel as though you are living in alignment with who you truly are, and you experience a sense of peace and satisfaction that comes from knowing you are walking the path God intended for you. This clarity gives you the strength to move forward, even in the face of difficulties, because you now understand that every step you take is part of a greater plan, a plan that only you can fulfill. As God begins to reveal your divine purpose, it may come in subtle ways at first. You may begin to feel drawn to certain activities, causes, or people, and these feelings will grow stronger over time. You might discover hidden talents or passions that you never recognized before. What once seemed like hobbies or casual interests may now feel like divinely inspired callings. You may find that the work you do is no longer just a means to an end, but a fulfilling expression of your purpose in the world. This sense of purpose also transforms the way you handle the challenges that come your way. Instead of seeing them as obstacles, you begin to understand that they are part of the preparation for your mission. Every hardship becomes a lesson that strengthens your resolve. Every setback becomes a stepping stone that brings you closer to fulfilling your calling. With your newfound sense of purpose, you are able to navigate life's ups and downs with a greater sense of clarity and determination. One powerful example of a person who discovered their divine purpose is the story of Nelson Mandela. Before he became the iconic leader of South Africa, Mandela faced years of personal hardship and struggle. He spent 27 years in prison, enduring unimaginable conditions. Yet throughout those years, he never lost sight of his sense of purpose. Mandela realized that his calling was to fight against apartheid and bring about a better future for his people. Despite the challenges, the prison sentence, and the obstacles he faced, he remained committed to his mission. His sense of purpose gave him the strength to endure and the vision to lead his country to freedom. Mandela's story shows us that when you discover your divine purpose, it becomes the driving force that propels you forward, no matter what adversity you face. Another example is the life of Mother Teresa, whose calling was to serve the poorest of the poor. Mother Teresa's sense of purpose was clear from a young age. She felt a deep calling to serve others, particularly the destitute and marginalized. This sense of purpose became the foundation of her entire life's work. She dedicated herself to caring for the sick and dying, starting the Missionaries of Charity and expanding her work around the world. Even in the face of immense difficulty, including a lack of resources and the overwhelming needs of those she served, Mother Teresa's sense of purpose never wavered. She found deep fulfillment in serving others, and her mission became a shining example of what it means to live a life dedicated to fulfilling God's calling. In a more personal example, let's consider the story of Sarah, a woman who worked in finance for many years. She had always been successful in her career, but she felt an inner restlessness that she couldn't ignore. Despite her outward success, she struggled with a sense of dissatisfaction. It wasn't until she volunteered at a local homeless shelter that she began to feel a spark of purpose. She found herself deeply moved by the people she met and realized that her true calling was to help those who were struggling with poverty and homelessness. After months of prayer and reflection, Sarah left her job in finance and started a non-profit organization dedicated to providing housing and support for homeless families. This decision wasn't easy, but Sarah knew that she was following the divine calling that had been placed on her heart. Today, her organization is thriving, and Sarah feels a deep sense of fulfillment, knowing she is fulfilling her purpose in life. These stories illustrate how discovering your divine purpose can radically change your life. When you find your calling, everything shifts. Your daily activities no longer feel like just tasks or obligations. They become meaningful expressions of who you are and why you were created. Your purpose aligns your passions, talents, and experiences with God's plan, and you begin to see how everything in your life has been preparing you for this moment. You realize that God has been at work in your life all along, guiding you toward your true calling. As you reflect on your own life, think about the moments when you felt drawn to a particular cause, a specific goal, or a deeper sense of mission. Have you ever experienced a deep sense of fulfillment when you've been doing something that felt aligned with your true self? These are signs that God is revealing your divine purpose to you. Whether it's through your work, your relationships, or your volunteer efforts, you may already be walking in the path that God has prepared for you, and it's up to you to continue embracing that calling with faith and determination. Remember, discovering your purpose is not always an instantaneous revelation. It can take time and reflection. It often requires us to step out of our comfort zones and trust that God will reveal the next step at the right time. But as you continue to seek God's guidance and remain open to His direction, He will make your purpose clear. When that happens, you will feel a deep sense of peace and fulfillment that comes from knowing that you are walking the path God has set before you, fulfilling your divine calling. As you continue on your journey, trust that God is preparing you for something extraordinary. Your sense of purpose is not something that happens by chance. It is part of a divine plan, and you are being equipped to fulfill it. Embrace your calling with courage and confidence, knowing that God has a great work for you to do in this world. As we come to the final sign in this exploration of how God prepares you for something extraordinary, we delve into a deeply significant aspect of the journey: confirmation from others. After experiencing a growing sense of purpose, receiving divine guidance through prayer, and feeling the peace of knowing you are on the right path, the next step is often receiving confirmation from the people around you. These are the words of affirmation, the advice, and the signs from others that validate what God has already spoken to your heart. When God is preparing you for a greater purpose, He often uses people, family, friends, mentors, and even strangers to confirm the path you are on. This divine confirmation reassures you that you are not alone in your journey and that you are moving in the direction that God intends for you. When you begin to feel a calling or sense of purpose, it is natural to have moments of doubt. You may wonder if you're truly hearing God's voice, or if the path you're taking is the right one. You may question whether you're equipped for the task ahead. It is during these times that God often sends others into your life to provide the confirmation you need. These are not just random comments or coincidences. These words and actions are divinely orchestrated, serving as markers along your journey, telling you that you are indeed on the right track and that God's plan for you is unfolding as it should. Confirmation can come in many forms. Sometimes it's a simple word of encouragement from a friend or a family member. Other times, it might be the advice of a spiritual mentor who affirms your calling. It could be an unexpected compliment from someone who sees your potential, or a piece of advice from a stranger that resonates deeply within you. These moments, though they may seem small or casual, are often profound reminders that God is working through others to confirm His will in your life. When we look to the lives of those who have walked out their divine calling, we see that confirmation from others has often played a key role. For example, consider the story of King David. Before he was anointed as king, David was just a young shepherd, seemingly overlooked by everyone around him. But when the prophet Samuel came to anoint the next king, God led Samuel to David, despite his being the youngest of his brothers and working in the fields. David's family and even the prophet Samuel needed that divine confirmation to recognize that God had chosen him. Samuel's obedience to God's direction and his confirmation of David's kingship marked the beginning of David's journey to fulfill his purpose. David's story teaches us that confirmation from others, especially from trusted spiritual leaders, can be crucial in helping us understand our divine calling. Samuel didn't just recognize David's calling on his own. It was through God's direction and Samuel's obedience that David was confirmed as the one chosen to be king. This was a powerful moment of validation, confirming that God's plan was in motion. Similarly, consider the story of Mary, the mother of Jesus. When Mary was visited by the angel Gabriel and told that she would conceive the Son of God, she was initially confused and filled with fear. How could this be? Yet, when she visited her cousin Elizabeth, who was also miraculously pregnant with John the Baptist, Elizabeth spoke words of confirmation. "Blessed are you among women, and blessed is the child you will bear." Elizabeth's affirmation was a powerful reminder to Mary that her calling was indeed divine and that God was with her in this extraordinary mission. This moment of confirmation helped Mary move forward with courage, trusting in the message God had given her. For many of us, the role of confirmation from others can come in the form of family and close friends. It is the people who know us the best who often provide the most profound encouragement. When you are unsure of your calling, or if you feel uncertain about a particular direction in your life, sometimes it's the words of your loved ones that affirm the path you're on. A parent might see your potential in ways you can't see it yourself. A close friend might encourage you to pursue a dream you've been too afraid to follow. Or perhaps a sibling, who knows your heart, reminds you of the strength and talents you have that God is calling you to use. These affirmations can be the catalyst for you to step out in faith and trust that God is guiding you through those closest to you. The influence of spiritual mentors cannot be underestimated either. These are the people in your life who have walked with God for many years and whose wisdom and experience provide invaluable guidance. A mentor might see a gift in you that you didn't even realize you had. They may challenge you to go deeper in your faith or help you discern the calling God has placed on your life. Spiritual mentors have a unique ability to speak into your life with the authority of experience, helping you navigate challenges and stay focused on your mission. Their words of encouragement and confirmation often serve as a reminder that God has been preparing you for something special. There was once a woman named Emma who had always dreamed of starting a non-profit organization to help abused children. She had a passion for making a difference in their lives, but she constantly doubted herself. She questioned if she had the right qualifications, the financial resources, or even the courage to take that leap. One day, during a meeting with her spiritual mentor, Emma shared her concerns. Her mentor, a woman who had walked through many of her own struggles in ministry, looked her in the eye and said, "Emma, God has already equipped you for this. Your heart for these children is a reflection of His love, and He is calling you to step out in faith. I will be here to support you." These words were the confirmation Emma needed. They spoke directly to her heart, and she knew that it was time to take the first step toward fulfilling her calling. Emma went on to establish the non-profit, and over time, it grew into a powerful organization that has touched the lives of countless children. Emma's story illustrates how spiritual mentors can offer the confirmation you need when doubt begins to creep in. Sometimes the affirmation from someone who understands your journey and can see your potential is all it takes to move forward with confidence. These words serve as a reminder that you are not alone in your mission and that God is using others to help you walk in the path He has prepared for you. Confirmation doesn't always come in dramatic moments or grand gestures. Sometimes it is as simple as a word of encouragement, a prayer, or a timely piece of advice. These moments of validation can be life-changing because they remind us that we are not walking this path alone. God uses others to speak truth into our lives, to affirm the direction we are headed, and to encourage us to keep going. As you reflect on your own life, think about the people who have spoken words of confirmation into your journey. Has there been a time when someone affirmed your calling or encouraged you to step out in faith? These moments are significant and should not be overlooked. They are signs that God is using those around you to guide you, encourage you, and confirm that you are indeed on the right path. In moments of doubt or uncertainty, look to those around you for confirmation. Whether it's a trusted friend, a family member, or a spiritual mentor, God often uses others to validate His plan for your life. Embrace the affirmation they offer and trust that it is part of God's divine plan to strengthen you and encourage you as you continue to walk in your calling. Just as Samuel confirmed David's kingship, just as Elizabeth affirmed Mary's calling, God is sending people into your life to confirm the extraordinary purpose He has set for you. Trust in those moments of confirmation, for they are reminders that you are not alone in this journey. God is working through others to affirm His divine plan for your life. Embrace the encouragement you receive and continue to step forward in faith, knowing that you are walking the path God has prepared for you. In conclusion, when God is preparing you for a divine mission, you will begin to notice these signs clearly unfolding in your life. These signs are not mere coincidences, but purposeful markers that guide you toward your calling. The first sign is a sense of awakening, a deep, profound realization that something greater is at work within you. You will feel a stirring in your soul, an inner knowing that you are meant for more than just the ordinary path. This awakening often comes at a time when you least expect it, but it is unmistakable when it arrives. You begin to see your life, your purpose, and your potential in a new light, realizing that God has placed you here for a divine reason. As you continue on your journey, you will face challenges. These challenges may seem overwhelming, but they are not obstacles meant to break you. Instead, they are God's way of preparing and refining you for your mission. Each challenge is an opportunity for growth, a test of faith and resilience that strengthens your character and brings you closer to the person you are meant to be. When God is preparing you, these trials become part of the divine preparation for something greater. Though they may be difficult, they are shaping you into the person God needs you to be to fulfill your purpose. Along the way, you will encounter divine encounters, moments that seem too perfect to be by chance. Whether it's a conversation with a stranger that resonates deeply with your heart, or a seemingly random event that changes your perspective, these divine encounters are God's way of confirming that you are on the right path. They serve as signs that God is guiding you, reassuring you that He is actively involved in your life. These encounters often come when you are seeking answers or when you need direction, providing the confirmation that you are moving in the right direction. Another key sign is the inner peace that comes, despite external chaos. In the midst of turmoil and uncertainty, God will grant you peace, a peace that transcends understanding. It's a peace that doesn't rely on external circumstances, but comes from knowing that God is in control, even when life feels out of control. This peace gives you clarity, strength, and the ability to face challenges with a calm heart, knowing that God is guiding you through every storm. This inner peace is a powerful reminder that God is with you, that He is preparing you, and that He will never leave your side. Finally, as God continues to reveal His purpose for your life, you will experience a clearer sense of direction and mission. Your sense of purpose will become more defined, and you will begin to see how everything in your life has been leading to this moment. You will know, without a doubt, that you are fulfilling the divine calling God has placed on your heart. This sense of purpose gives you the strength to move forward with confidence, even in the face of challenges, because you know that you are walking in God's will. If you recognize any of these signs in your life, we encourage you to take them seriously. These are not mere coincidences, but divine confirmations that God is preparing you for something greater. Take a moment to reflect on these signs, to seek God's guidance, and to trust that He is leading you toward your divine purpose. We would love to hear about your own journey and the signs you've noticed along the way. If you've experienced any of these signs, or if you're beginning to recognize them in your life, please share your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like this video, share it with others who might need encouragement, and subscribe to our channel for more inspirational content. Remember, you are not alone in this journey. God is preparing you for something extraordinary, and we are here to walk with you every step of the way.